Seeing context is very important. Seeing context will get you out of very bad situations. There are many intelligent people out there. They have academic degrees. They have diplomas. They have years of work experience. They have a very high IQ. They have a lot of data in their head. So they are brilliant people when it comes to mental capacities. But because they don't see the context of situations and circumstances, they end up staying in negative and dangerous circumstances way too long. Let me rephrase that. There are people out there that they remain in circumstances that common sense would have told them to get out. The reason they're still in them because they don't see the context. So, seeing context has nothing to do with intelligence nor with your IQ. It has to do with your attitude. You need to take a step back, stop doing what you're doing, and look around you. And when you look around you, you'll notice things, and you'll see the context of what's going on. Let me give an example. Let's say you work at the courthouse, and you have this court case in which a woman claims that her boyfriend raped her and emotionally abused her. Such things happen in the world. They shouldn't have, but it happens. So let's say that you are a jury member. There are some countries where they have a jury, and a jury has to decide on whether the accused is guilty or not. So you, as a part of the jury, you discuss the matter, because as a jury, you need to come with a conclusion whether the individual is guilty or not. So everyone around, all the other people in the jury say the man is guilty, because they're so into the emotions of the woman. But you tell them, hold on a minute. During the interview here in the courthouse, she mentioned another guy. And then the other jury members tell you, okay, well, what does this have to do with the case? You tell them she mentioned another guy, that another guy was treating her better. So she's with his boyfriend, and at the same time, there's another guy treating her better. How is that possible? That's only possible if she's cheating. So she is dishonest. She's lying. She's covering up something. Who is that other guy? Why didn't the prosecutor nor her lawyer continue about that other guy that she mentioned twice? And then the jury members think, hold on a minute. Something is not right here, indeed. So the jury tells the judge that they couldn't figure it out. So now, the prosecutor, who officially was on the side of the woman, whom the prosecutor thought was the victim, the prosecutor told the judge that he's dropping the case. Because the prosecutor reviewed the data of the case and also the past of the woman, and the prosecutor found out that she often switched jobs. And the prosecutor found out that on every job there was some kind of sexual harassment allegation from her part to some male co-worker. And all of them were proven to be false. So now that the prosecutor saw the context, the prosecutor realized, hold on a minute, this is a pathological liar that seeks validation by playing the victim. And she's using the courthouse at the expense of the accused one to get her relief. She doesn't care that this man may lose his job, may lose his career, may lose his family, may end up homeless, may end up in jail. She just wants her relief. So the prosecutor informed the judge, and now it was the woman that was put on trial for wasting time of the courthouse as well as lying in a court of law. So in the example I just gave on to you, both the prosecutor as well as the lawyer, they didn't see the context. There was one jury member that noticed a detail that didn't add up, and because of that, that jury member realized that there's something terribly wrong with this story. And indeed, the story they later found out was a hoax. If that one jury member did not open his mouth, that man would have ended up in jail for something he didn't commit, and even if later it would be discovered he was innocent, his life would have been ruined. And everyone in that courthouse would have been in compliance of that narcissist. Why? Not because they intended to do this. The prosecutor had good intention. The prosecutor had no evil intent nor ill will in him. But the prosecutor did not see the context. He should have examined the context as the prosecutor. That's his failure on his part. But he had no bad intentions. The lawyer of the man that was accused also had no bad intentions. Neither did the judge, nor the other jury members, nor the other people that witnessed the court case. But because they didn't see the context, without them being aware of it, they became part of a smear campaign at the expense of that guy that was accused. So they took part in the victimization of that target, not because they are victimizers by themselves, but because they didn't look at the context. And that is what I'm alerting you about, believer. When you don't see the context, take a step back and pray. I'm telling you, pray. Often people are dragged into very bad situations that will cost them because they don't see the context. Now look, if you are walking down the street and it's night and some car pulls by, let's say you're a woman and a car pulls by and tells you, hey, step in, I'll give you a ride home. If it's done in an urban area where there's a lot of drug dealing going on, then you know as a woman, no, I'm walking away, I'm running away because this guy may have bad intentions. So the context shows you this is wrong. That's an obvious one. But in the example I gave on to you of that court case, it wasn't that obvious that it was a scam. And because it wasn't that obvious, people fell for it. But if they would have been trained to look at the context, they would have realized from the start that nothing adds up about the story that this woman is telling us. There are people that became the target of smear campaigns because the community around did not examine the context. There are men that ended up in jail for crimes they did not commit because the legal system, at least those that work in it, didn't see the context. There are people who have been executed, they received a death penalty while they were innocent. Why? Because the people around did not want to face the context. And when the context became clear and they had to admit they were wrong, they were not willing to do it. So their pride, their unwillingness to comply with justice, implied that the victim had to die so that they could save their face. And don't think people are not willing to do this. To sacrifice your life and your future, your well-being, just to save their face, just to prevent them from having to face themselves. They will. Not all people do it, but worldly people in general are willing to do this. So, seeing the context is very important. Don't you know that there are believers that end up enabling violence because they don't look at the context? That is why Satan twists scripture. Why? Because by twisting scripture, he will get support of believers who lack knowledge. When you lack knowledge, Satan can use your lack of knowledge to trick you into all types of danger. And once you're part of the danger, Satan will blackmail you with your participation in the danger. And this blackmail is to make you feel guilty about what you're a part of. But here's the thing. You never intended to be part of that evil thing. You were tricked into it, so you can't be blamed. The only thing you need to do is to seek deliverance from it. But now, Because you're invested in that bad thing, Satan is using your investment to keep you in bondage, to keep you in the danger. That is why it is important, believers. Look at the context. Be at peace.